The introduction of the Dendro element has no doubt brought many buffs to a variety of characters in Genshin Impact. In fact, the entire Electro element was able to benefit substantially from the added synergy it got from the new Dendro reactions. Not that Electro wasn't strong already thanks to reactions such as Electro Charged, but certain characters that were considered niche and situational before are now pretty good, and some of the ones that were already good have now become top tier units. And among these units, one was able to rise through the ranks and become one of the best units in the game. Best part of all this? You probably already have her. Yep, that's right, I'm talking about Fischl, the character that everyone's been talking about and one of my favorite 4-star characters. And today I'm gonna be telling you all about what exactly makes her so good. So without further ado, let's get started. Like I mentioned before, Fischl was already a top tier unit before Dendro even came out. Not only is Fischl able to deal amazing damage, she's also able to deal most of it from off-field through her abilities, which is a really good thing, because this allows for other units to deal damage alongside her, and it also makes it a lot easier to trigger elemental reactions, as you'll basically always have Electro being applied to enemies passively. But not only that, her ability also generates a ton of particles that will give your characters energy, making her a great battery for your team. And all this isn't even including her Ascension 4 passive yet, which is what really makes her damage stand out. Fischl's Ascension 4 passive basically makes it so that whenever your on-field character triggers an Electro-related reaction while Oz is on-field, the opponents will be dealt additional Electro damage equal to 80% of Fischl's attack. And even without Dendro, this ability has great synergy with reactions such as Electro Charge, as Electro Charge can be triggered very frequently, allowing for the passive to be procced very frequently as well, dealing a lot of damage. So as you can kinda see, Fischl was already a top tier unit prior to Dendro, but after Dendro was released, basically everything I mentioned before got elevated to another level, especially her insanely strong Ascension 4 passive. The inclusion of the Dendro element introduced a new Quicken reaction which can be triggered when Electro is applied to Dendro or vice versa. From this Quicken reaction, you can trigger a sub-reaction called Aggravate by applying additional Electro to the Quicken aura, and Aggravate was incredibly strong for Electro characters, allowing them to deal much more damage than they could before. For Fischl, her off-field Electro application that I mentioned earlier allowed for her to trigger Aggravate very easily, and her particle generation allowed for Dendro units that relied on their burst for strong Dendro applications, such as the Dendro main character, to have a good source of energy, which in turn further increases the rate at which the very strong Aggravate can be triggered. Now if you're thinking a lot of other Electro units could do this as well, you'd be right. That's why so many Electro units in general got buffed. But what made Fischl stand out above the rest and become one of the strongest units in the game is her Ascension 4 passive's insane synergy with Dendro. The reason that Fischl's A4 passive has such great synergy with Aggravate is because not only can the hit dealt by the passive trigger Aggravate, the passive hit also does not have an internal cooldown, or ICD. ICD is a system that limits how fast you can apply an element. So if you notice that sometimes your characters aren't applying an element even though they are doing an elemental attack, that's because of ICD. And so Fischl's A4 passive not having ICD essentially means that you can trigger Aggravate on every single hit that your passive does, which will be very frequently because of how these Dendro Electro reactions work. And so as you can see on screen right now, Fischl would be able to do some insane damage as a result of all this, making her not only one of the best Electro characters, but one of the best characters in the game as a whole. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about for today. And if you're interested in more in-depth information and how to build Fischl, I'll link some very helpful videos from content creators that I like a lot down in the description. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps a lot.